So this week we are delving back into the world of starting points, skills, mindset, things you want to think of first. Last week we got into kind of the basic skills. We also got into the basic mindset, fight or flight, the 5-second rule, which I think is one of the best little launch pads to get going on any kind of dare I say, adventure / shenanigans / apocalypse.
Emergencies.
Thank you. That's a much better response. But before I ramble on too long, I think we need to jump in and really talk about why is it that prepping is making a huge resurgence right now? Like, why do you think that is, Paris?
I think that people are seeing what's going on in the world, going on in the news, and they're realizing, you know what, some things can happen. Another thing I've heard a lot of people, I had actually 2 people reach out to me this last week. One guy was like, hey, Paris, I'm finally in a place where I feel like I can afford to get some preps done. So what do you do? What do you recommend? How do you recommend I start? I was like, hey, interestingly enough, we just did a podcast on that. Another guy called me up and he's like, hey, I've been seeing these ads on Facebook for the Mira face masks, the gas masks. And he's like, should I get some? I'm like, man, sure, if you have, but make sure you get your other stuff first. I said, do you have your food storage? Do you have your water storage? Do you have, some stockpiles of the different things that you have? Don't go crazy. All that stuff is cool, but I think you got to get your basics first. And so once you have your basics down, then you can get that cool stuff and you can save up for that cool stuff. So just having conversations with some people this last week, a lot of people realized that, with the Rona that just came through, there was a lot of people that had some shortages in stores. People are realizing that I remember the run on the toilet paper and I was like, well, I don't mind. I got 3 months of toilet paper in my closet right here. So didn't matter to me. So there's just a lot of things I think going on in the world right now, especially as we're seeing in the news, gas prices rising, inflation all through the roof. Just a lot of people realizing, you know what, we need to have some stockpiles and some storage because we don't know what's going to come. And there's a lot of that uncertainty. And with uncertainty comes a genuine desire to get back to that homeostasis, that point of certainty. And I think people will feel that, are feeling that desire to get prepared, get anchored back in and be more self-reliant. And because they're realizing nobody's going to come save us. Nobody's going to take care of us. We need to take care of ourselves. And I feel like that's just a general mood right now. I don't know if anybody else feels that way too, but I feel like that's my general take on it.
My thoughts are that, what came to mind is I like to watch these apocalyptic movies, right? I mean, who doesn't? What kind of prepper doesn't? And, one in particular, they realized at the last possible moment that they may not survive. You may not make it. And that's only the point when they wake up, right? That's the point when it turns the other way. And I'm just hoping that most people will see what's going on. The general population they don't understand what's going on. They really don't. And perhaps I'm a little too awake, but they don't know what they don't know. And until we come to that tipping point, people aren't really going to open their eyes until they see something that really directly affects them. And right now, the things that are starting to affect people are the gas prices or the food prices. Those are the things that are the most obvious, right? Yeah. And so hopefully people are seeing those and open their eyes like, hey, what's going on? Hopefully, like we spoke and talked in our last episode, talking about critical thinking, trying to think for yourselves. Don't just, there's two different sides. Well, there's multiple sides to every story, especially we're talking about what's going on with Ukraine and Russia. There's more than 2 sides on that story. So critical thinking and then feeling that tipping point, like I'm a little scared. There's a little fear here. And we don't want to create that fear.
Fear's an amazing motivator, right? When we woke up, like my wife and I woke up at different times. Like I've been doing this for a long time. But I've been learning more and more every day and going, oh, that's going on behind the scenes, right? But that fear that it's either going to make you fight or flight, right? Fight, flight, and
or freeze.
And freeze. And a lot of people will flight or freeze. That fighting side, in this case, it's actually doing something. It's putting together a plan of action, which we talked about last week. We've got up on the website now, we've got our basic 96-hour kit recommendations and an expansion pack that we've put together ourselves. Like, this is not, hey, go buy this right now. This is focus on the basic kit first, then expand into the second kit. Just like if you don't have your food storage, get your week's worth, start building up to that. Then worry about 2 weeks, then worry about 3 weeks. It's not, and it's also not your first priority. Everyone has containers in their home they can put water in first, right? But do you have a really good first aid kit? And I'm not talking a little plastic clamshell you bought at the grocery store last time you were there that's only got Band-Aids in it. I'm talking you need a trauma kit. And those are going to cost $50 to $300 depending on what you're going for. That, and then learn how to use it. Getting back to everything, it's understanding, okay, what am I going to have to work with first? What do I need to worry about most? And looking at where your gaps are and then starting to fill those in prioritized on what's the most important. Going back to the emergency rule of 3 or survival rule of 3. So check out the YouTube, because we just dropped some different videos that are kind of outlining each of those from the podcast last week, but in short. So if you've got just a short burst, you can actually get into it. And we think you'll really, really enjoy it. I mean, I did. I actually listened to all of them yesterday and today. So get back in there, guys, and let us know. We've got some great content in the group chat. People are asking questions. We're responding. We're going to use that for content. And it's just a nice flow to be able to keep the conversation going between episodes.
I've been really surprised how many people have started to just randomly join our Facebook group. It's been really cool to see that. Our YouTube channel is growing really quickly. And so come and get involved and join the community. One of the things we love about the group is that we want to interact with people. We want to see what you're doing to prepare, what we're doing to prepare, and we all can grow together. We can all edify each other. One of the things I know kind of along the lines, a little bit more into the skill sets of things, but one of the things I heard this last, I was watching a video, in fact, on YouTube today myself. And if you have, for example, a bunch of gear, you can give somebody who has the skill sets to really survive in their mind. They have the mindset, they have the skill sets to survive. You can give them all the best gear and it's just going to make it that much easier. But if they lost all the gear, if they had no gear, maybe just a pocket knife, maybe just a compass or something in their pockets, like the pocket dump we talked about. If you could survive with just that, that's where the real survival skills comes in. Because that most people, even with a ton of cool gear, if their mindset's not right, they're going to freeze up. They're going to get scared. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to panic. They're going to do things wrong. But it's that skill set, that understanding. If you have a cut on your leg and you know how to address it, you're going to survive a lot longer than the guy who has no idea and that wound just stays open, for example. I mean, it really boils down to that when you have the skill sets, you can use whatever equipment is around you and you can still survive. But if you don't have the skill sets, it doesn't matter what equipment is around you. You may or may not survive.